The first thing I noticed wasn't her voice. It was the silence after it. The kind that fills a hallway and makes you aware of your own breathing. I was standing by her laundry room door, a wrench in my hand, pretending I knew exactly what I was doing. She leaned against the frame, arms folded, the faintest smile playing at the corner of her mouth, the kind that asks more questions than it answers. "Does it still sound like a helicopter taking off?" she asked. "Not anymore," I said. "I think I fixed the spin." Her laugh came low, quiet, like she was trying not to disturb the air between us. "That's a shame," she said. I was getting used to the noise. The room was small, too small for the distance we tried to keep. The washing machine sat open, still humming faintly, the scent of detergent and something floral drifting up. She stepped closer, pointing at the control panel, but her sleeve brushed my arm. A small, accidental touch. Or maybe not. She smelled like linen and something faintly citrus. Clean, but warm. Like the kind of perfume that lingers after someone's gone. I bent to tighten a bolt that didn't need tightening, just to steady my hands. "You've done this before?" she asked. "Machines, yeah. Not," I stopped myself before saying, "not houses like this." The place was quiet, modern, filled with soft light, and her presence made it feel smaller still. She tilted her head, studying me. "You don't talk much, do you?" "I talk," I said. "Just not when it feels like I'll say the wrong thing." That made her pause. Her eyes softened for half a second, then she looked away, like she'd heard something in my voice she didn't want to recognize. "I like that," she said finally. "Most men your age don't know when to stop talking." Something in the way she said "men your age" lodged under my skin. Not mocking, just aware. Like she'd seen this story before and didn't trust its ending. The washing machine clicked, ending its cycle. The room grew even quieter. She crouched next to me to look inside, her shoulder brushing mine. The warmth of her skin made it hard to breathe evenly. "So," she murmured, eyes on the spinning drum as it slowed, "it's fixed." "I think so." She glanced up. "You think so?" The space between us was close enough that her breath touched my cheek when she spoke. "Want me to run another cycle?" I asked. Her gaze lingered on me, too long to be casual. "Maybe the spin isn't over yet," she said softly. For a second, neither of us moved. The air felt heavy, like the world had shrunk to that tiled floor, that faint hum, the distance between her mouth and mine. Then a sound, a knock, sharp and sudden, broke it. She straightened fast, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "That'll be my neighbor," she said, voice quick, too even. "She drops by sometimes." I stood up, unsure what to do with my hands. She moved toward the door but looked back once, only once, and it was enough. A look that said this didn't just happen, and yes, it did. Her footsteps faded down the hall. The washing machine beeped once, a small, final sound. I stared at it, heart still running, thinking she might come back. She didn't. Not yet. But something in that room was still turning that I told myself I was just dropping by to check that the repair held. That's what I said out loud, anyway. She opened the door slower this time, like she already knew I'd come back. "You again," she said, smiling just enough to make it impossible to tell if she was teasing or testing. "The washer," I said. "Just wanted to make sure it's still running right." "It's been fine," she said. "Mostly." Her hair was pulled back today, but a few loose strands framed her face, soft against her skin. She was wearing an oversized sweater, sleeves pushed up. The kind of casual that looks unplanned but somehow perfect. "Come in," she added, turning away before I could answer. The laundry room felt different now. The same space, but the air heavier, like something had been left unfinished. The faint hum of the dryer was the only sound. She leaned on the counter while I crouched again, pretending to check the same bolts, same hoses. You always fix things you don't need to, she asked. Sometimes, I said. Depends on what's broken. That's a dangerous answer. Her tone was light, but her eyes weren't. They stayed on me too long, like she was searching for something she didn't want to find. She mentioned she'd been divorced for 3 years, casually, like she was talking about weather. He was a planner, she said. Every dinner scheduled, every weekend accounted for. And then one day, there wasn't a plan for us anymore. I didn't know what to say. So I said nothing. She didn't seem to mind. Maybe silence was easier. When she turned to reach for a bottle of detergent, her hand brushed my shoulder, barely, but enough to make me look up. Her fingers hesitated there, almost like she'd forgotten what they were doing. You're younger than I thought, she said quietly. I tried to laugh. That bad? No, she said. Just, surprising. The space between her words and the silence after them said more than anything else. I wanted to ask what she meant, but I didn't. Some things feel safer left suspended. She poured detergent into the tray, but her hands trembled slightly, not enough to spill, just enough for me to notice. When she turned back, I caught her watching me. Not in a way that demanded anything, more like she was memorizing the shape of something she wasn't supposed to want. You remind me of someone, she said. Who? She shook her head. No one you'd know. Her voice cracked a little at the end, so soft I almost missed it. We stood there in the low hum of the machine, the air too still, too close. I reached to take the detergent bottle from her hand, fingers brushing hers, just that. She didn't pull away this time. Her eyes met mine, steady, unreadable. Then, quietly, you should probably go before it starts spinning again. But she didn't move. Neither did I. The washer beeped, the cycle done, and still, we stayed that it should have been a quick visit. 5 minutes, check the machine, tighten a hose, leave. But 5 minutes with her had started to stretch the way light bends through glass. When she opened the door, she looked surprised but not annoyed. You again, she said, and her voice carried something halfway between amusement and something softer. I was just about to start another load. I nodded. Guess that's my timing. Her phone buzzed on the counter behind her, a message lighting up the screen. Maya, coffee in 10. I'm outside. She glanced at it, then at me. That's my friend, she said, a little too fast. She drops by on weekends. I almost stepped back toward the door. I can come back later. No, the word came out sharper than she meant. Then quieter, no, it's fine. She won't stay long. The washing machine door was open. She leaned beside it, the light catching on her wristwatch, the faint sound of fabric shifting as she crossed her arms. I knelt down, checking the seal just to give my hands something to do. She'll wonder why your car's here, she said. I could park down the street next time. She smiled, faint and pained. That sounds worse. We both laughed, quietly, nervously. The kind of laugh that holds back too much. Then, footsteps in the hall. A quick, sharp knock. Her breath caught. Don't say anything, she whispered, half to herself. She darted out to answer, pulling the door just slightly closed behind her. Through the small gap, I could hear their voices, her friend's upbeat chatter, her own voice lower, steady, pretending nothing was unusual. My pulse thudded in my ears. A few minutes passed. The door shut again. Silence. She came back, leaning against the wall like she'd been holding her breath too long. She's gone, she said. Then, softer, you shouldn't have stayed. I didn't want to walk out while she was here, I said. That would have looked worse, she finished. We looked at each other, too long again. Her arms uncrossed. You don't know what this looks like from the outside. I don't care what it looks like, I said. Her eyes searched mine like she didn't believe that, or wished she could. The air between us thickened again. The faint hum of the machine starting up filled the quiet. She stepped closer, almost unconsciously. I could smell her shampoo, faintly floral, the kind that stays in the air after she moves. "I'm not supposed to," she started, but didn't finish. Her hand brushed my sleeve. I froze. Neither of us moved away. The machine clicked into its spin cycle, louder now, the sound vibrating through the small room. We both looked toward it but didn't step back. Her face was close enough that I could see the reflection of the turning drum in her eyes. For a moment, the world felt tilted, everything revolving around that impossible stillness between us. Then she whispered, "You should go." But she didn't open the door. And I didn't move. The machine kept spinning. So did everything else. Rain started before I even reached her porch, soft at first, then hard enough that my jacket clung to me by the time she opened the door. She didn't say anything at first. Just stared, half surprised, half something else. Then, quietly, "You shouldn't be here." "I know," I said. But I didn't know where else to go. She stepped aside anyway. The lights were dim, the house humming with the sound of rain against the windows. I could smell coffee, faint and bitter, cooling on the counter. "You'll catch cold," she murmured, grabbing a towel from the rack. She moved closer, dabbing at my hair with careful, too slow motions. Her fingers lingered longer than they should have. "Why are you doing that?" I asked. Her hand stopped midair. "Because someone has to." The silence after that felt heavier than the storm outside. I turned slightly, her hand still near my face. Our eyes met, not the polite kind of eye contact, but the kind that pulls. The kind that doesn't let you look away. "I keep telling myself this shouldn't mean anything," she said. "That I'm just lonely. That you're just kind. And..." She exhaled through her nose, shaking her head. "And I hate that it's not true." The confession hung between us, raw, trembling, impossible to take back. I stepped closer, close enough that her breath brushed my neck. "It's not just you," I said. She laughed under her breath, almost bitter. "You're too young to know what you want." "I know what I feel." Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Her hand was still holding the towel, but her fingers grazed my jaw now, the softest touch, like testing whether I was real. "Don't," she whispered. "Please." But she didn't move. The air felt charged, the kind of quiet before something breaks. I reached up, brushed a strand of hair from her face. She caught my wrist halfway, holding it there, not pushing it away, just holding. Her pulse trembled against my skin. "You have no idea what this would cost," she said. "I don't care." She looked at me then, really looked, like she was memorizing something she'd already decided she couldn't have. "I can't do this," she said, voice shaking now. "Then tell me to stop." Her hand loosened. "That's the problem," she whispered. The storm outside crashed louder, wind pressing against the window. The room dimmed as lightning flashed, the air full of the scent of rain and warm breath and something electric neither of us could name. I stepped in closer. She didn't back away this time. For a second, we hovered there, her eyes closing halfway, my hand at the small of her back, her chest rising unevenly against mine. The world narrowed to that heartbeat. Then, a sound. The front door creaked open. A man's voice called from the hallway, "Claire." She froze. Her hand slipped from my wrist. And the spin, finally, stopped. The voice in the hallway froze both of us. "Claire," he called again, deeper, older. Her lips parted, but no sound came. She stepped back, eyes wide, hand pressed to her chest like she could hold her heartbeat still. I whispered, "Who is that?" She didn't answer. Just mouthed, "Stay quiet." Footsteps approached. She turned toward the door fast, smoothing her sweater, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. I stepped back into the laundry room's shadow, pulse slamming in my throat. Then he appeared, tall, gray at the temples, wearing that easy kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. "You left the front door unlocked," he said, his tone familiar. "I didn't think you were coming," she said, voice steady but too light. "I was nearby," he said. "Thought I'd drop off your mail. You've got half my letters again." He set a small stack on the counter. His eyes flicked toward the hallway, toward the faint noise of the washer still turning. "You've got someone here?" She hesitated a fraction too long. "No. Just fixing the machine." He nodded slowly, but his gaze lingered on the open door, the second pair of shoes by the mat, mine. I could feel the heat rising in my neck, the air thick with detergent and rain and panic. "Looks like you've had help," he said finally. "Your kid's friend?" Her breath hitched. She smiled, small, strained. "Just a neighbor." Kid's friend. That one stuck. When he left, after another too long pause, after she'd walked him out and stood in the doorway until his car was gone, she came back to the laundry room, closing the door quietly behind her. Neither of us spoke for a while. Then, softly, "You weren't supposed to hear that." "Your kid's friend?" I said. "That's what he thinks." She winced. "My son's in college. He knows some of the people around here." I thought it would make sense. "Make sense?" I said. "Or sound harmless?" Her shoulders stiffened. "You think I wanted this to look like something it's not?" "It already is something it's not," I said. The words hung there, sharp, echoing. She turned away, pressing a hand to the counter, fingers trembling. Then quieter, almost to herself, "I didn't lie to hurt you." I stepped closer. "Then why?" She looked up, eyes shining in the low light. "Because I didn't know what else to call you." That silence, that raw, uneven breath between us, said more than either of us could handle. Her voice softened. "If anyone finds out, they won't." "You can't promise that." I reached for her hand before she could pull away. Her fingers trembled, but she didn't let go. "I shouldn't have let you back in," she whispered. "Then tell me to leave," I said. Her hand tightened around mine. She didn't. Outside, thunder rolled, slow, distant. Inside, everything else moved closer. The storm passed overnight, but the house still smelled like rain, heavy and sweet, clinging to everything. When I came back, I didn't knock. I just stood in her doorway, waiting. She looked up from the sink, startled at first, then tired. There was no surprise in her eyes, only the quiet weight of knowing something was about to give. "You shouldn't be here," she said again. It had become our script. "I know. So why are you?" I looked at her, really looked, the small lines around her eyes, the soft curve of her mouth, the steadiness that made me both want to stay and run. Because pretending nothing's happening feels worse than being wrong. She wiped her hands on a towel, setting it down carefully on the counter. Her movements were calm, but her breathing wasn't. "You think this is about pretending," she said. "What is it about then?" She hesitated, voice barely above a whisper. "It's about what happens after." I took a step closer. She didn't move. Another step. The space between us shrank until I could see the tiny raindrops still caught in her hair, the faint rise of goosebumps on her neck. "I can't keep doing this," she said, though her hand was already lifting, brushing against my chest like it was by accident, then stopping there, flat, warm, real. "Then don't," I said. "Just tell me to go." Her fingers curled slightly, clutching the fabric of my shirt. "You don't understand," she said. "I've spent years building a life that finally makes sense. I don't want to ruin that because you," she broke off, shaking her head. "Because I what?" "Because you make me feel like I'm 20 again," she said. And that terrifies me. The words hit harder than I expected, not a confession, but a surrender. I reached up, my hand trembling as I tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. She leaned into the touch, just a fraction, but enough. We stood like that, barely breathing, the air so charged it felt like one wrong exhale could shatter it. I can't promise this will end well, I said. I don't need it to end well, she whispered. I just need it to be real. Her forehead touched mine, light as a heartbeat. Neither of us closed the distance completely. The space between us pulsed with everything we hadn't said. Her breath trembled against my lips, half a sigh, half a question. And then, with a voice so quiet I almost missed it, if I let you stay, everything changes. I know, I said. The words hung there, small and final. She didn't step back. Neither did I. Outside, the last of the rain began to fall again, soft, steady, inevitable. And in that moment, without moving, without a single touch more, we both knew, something had already changed. The next morning was quiet. Not the uneasy kind, not the "what did we just do" kind, but the soft quiet that feels earned. Light poured through the kitchen window, pale and gentle, touching the floor where she stood with her hands wrapped around a mug. The washing machine hummed again in the background, steady this time, no rattling, no spin left unfinished. You didn't leave, she said, not turning around yet. I didn't, I said. Did you want me to? She smiled into her coffee. Ask me that an hour ago, I might have said yes. And now? She finally looked at me, hair loose, eyes tired but unguarded. Now I don't know what I'd do if you walked out. It wasn't a grand declaration. It didn't need to be. It was the kind of truth that sits in your chest and makes everything around it quieter. I walked over, the sound of my footsteps small against the hum of the house. She didn't step back when I reached for her hand. Her fingers found mine easily, like they'd been waiting there all along. I used to think the world would look at this and laugh, she said. Call me foolish. Desperate. Maybe they would, I said. But they don't see what I see. She tilted her head, a half-smile breaking through. And what do you see? I took a breath, eyes not leaving hers. Someone who stopped pretending she doesn't need to be seen. That caught her. Her lips parted, then curved into something quiet and real, something that said she understood exactly what I meant. She set her mug down, reaching up to brush her thumb along my jaw, a simple touch that said more than any promise could. You shouldn't say things like that, she whispered. I'll start believing you. I already do, I said. For a while, we didn't talk. We just stood there, her fingers tracing small circles against my skin, my hand resting at her waist, feeling her heartbeat calm under my palm. The age, the distance, the hesitation, all of it still existed, but it didn't feel like a wall anymore. It felt like something we'd already climbed over together. Stay for breakfast? She asked. Only if I get to do the dishes. Deal, she said, laughing quietly, the kind of laugh that sounds like relief. The washing machine clicked off behind us, a perfect, final stillness. She leaned her head against my shoulder. I kissed her hair once, slow, unhurried. Neither of us spoke after that. We didn't need to. The air between us said enough. The spin was over. And maybe, for once, that was exactly how it was supposed to end. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?